the Twin Peaks return set piece in this film that occurs twice is these fucking demon shadows that appear. It's like PG rated childhood haunt. Like I bet somebody's childhood haunt is that.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
What's up, everybody? It's 1 in our time. That's right, it's the show where we just have one goddamn hour to talk about one frickin' movie here. Trying to censor myself, guys, these days because it seems like we're maybe getting demonetized out there.
Right, because we're saying the F.
Right, so from now on, guys, it's going to have to be a little different around here. It's going to have to be 1 hour, perhaps. So we'll see how that goes.
That's hot.
But yeah.
That should be the name of the show. One hour.
Right, exactly.
One bleeping hour.
Right.
That's my vote.
That's your vote? Okay, well, we're going to experiment a little bit to see if that rule, where the first 2 minutes can't have the swear in it, just to see if anything happens differently. Who knows? But we'll check it out. Anyway, I'm Evan
Trying to
Husney.
make that cake, right?
Yes, we gotta. Ooh, yeah. All right. I'm Evan Husney, and of course, to my left, we have hot off the trails of his big birthday episode, which has, I don't know, been warmly embraced. So we got Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom, how's it going?
What's up? I'm just orange peel beefing over here.
Right.
Yes, I would like to. I actually made an apology about the Worm Eaters before the episode started. So how about that? But I'll just give you the update. So the class action suit started. We're talking about settling out of court.
Yep.
The ramifications of the broadcast of the Worm Eaters episode.
Yep.
So we're hopefully going to get everybody taken care of.
That's right.
Everybody. We want everybody to be happy.
Right.
So let's all figure this out and let's all work towards something peaceful and amenable.
Amicable. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like in the aftermath of the infamous Worm Eaters episode. We'll get through this.
All right. Sounds good.
I'm just saying that now because CoffeeZilla had to get involved.
Yeah, right. CoffeeZilla is looking at the Worm Eaters episode right now.
Yeah, it's his, special episode.
All right. And to all the way to my right, we have Mr. Marcus Herring. Marcus, welcome back. Another one who survived the birthday ep. How's it going?
Yeah, that's mainly the gummy worms is the main problem for me.
Sure.
The stomach.
The stomach cramps.
Yeah,
Right.
almost immediately.
Stomach.
Don't order gummy worms off Amazon.
Yeah, I know.
Amazon gummies. Yeah, we were eating so this is the Easter egg of last week's infamous episode. We were all eating gummy worms throughout the episode.
Yay.
And maybe some people noticed, maybe they didn't. Maybe it helped get them through the episode. Maybe it didn't.
It probably didn't.
Probably not. Probably was gratuitous.
It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. All right, so out with the Worm Eaters, in with a new episode, new week, and we have with us tonight to help us do so. We have a special guest, returning champion, Rami Bennett. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Good. Thank you guys for having me again.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Yes. All right. Very happy to have you for this episode. What are we doing tonight? Well, this is a swerve and a curve, of course, from hot off last week's Worm Eaters. We're getting into 1990s romantic comedy, thriller, etc. film.
I call it a date movie with thrills and chills.
Okay, there you go.
Love it.
That's perfect.
Yes.
That's perfect. We're talking about Ghost from 1990. Starring Patrick Swayze, Whoopi Goldberg, Demi Moore. We're gonna get into all of that, of course. But we thought, hey, it's Valentine's Day, probably the day that you're checking this out. So let's do a Valentine's Day pick. And, and I think this is going to be good. We're going to get into this. I had never seen it up until just a few days ago. So we're going to get a hot, fresh take on this film. But I'm excited. 1 fucking hour on Ghost. Who would have thunk, right? But anyway, before we get into the episode, guys, I just want to give a quick shout out for what we have left after last week's episode of the One Fucking Hour Patreon.
Slowly rebuilding from the ground up. Our Patreon.
Here we go. Patreon.com/One Fucking Hour is where you can sign up if you still want to support the show. It's just $5 a month. You get instant access to all of our bonus episodes. You get 24-hour plus early access to every episode. We got some audio commentaries up there. We're doing a new bonus episode. You may hear this by this point. It may already be up, but we're going to be covering TV movies, right, guys? That's what we decided for our next bonus episode. We're going to get into our favorite made-for-TV movies, sort of a primer, just our favorite
There's so
picks.
many good ones.
There's so many good ones. Probably going to be sort of a piloting for future eps of One Fucking Hour, but if you're really interested into the weird, wild, demented world of made-for-TV movies, you're going to want to hear this ep, and it's only available on the Patreon, or if you want to watch it on YouTube and you want to become a Momin of the YouTube channel, you can
There
go.
it is.
You
He
can
likes
go.
the worm eaters.
He does. He loves it. You can go to our channel homepage on YouTube, find and click the join button, and become a Momin for just $5 a month. Same perks, same benefits, same price as the Patreon. Same bullshit. We appreciate the support nonetheless. So thank you very much, and hope to see you up there. All right, everybody. Yeah, patreon.com. All right. So, shall we get into this episode? Should we just get right into it? Anything else you guys want to say before we jump right in? No? Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So here comes the clock, and locked and loaded here. Boom. All right. Ghost. All right. This is, of course, episode 127 of the show. Here's a little, I know, crazy. Here's a little synopsis action of the movie. Everybody knows this movie, but me, I guess. But here's the synopsis. Sam Wheat, played by Patrick Swayze, is a banker. Molly Jensen, played by Demi Moore, is an artist, and the two are madly in love. However, when Sam is murdered by friend and corrupt business partner Carl Brunner over a shady business deal, he is left to roam the earth as a powerless spirit. He's not that powerless, actually. We'll find out. When he learns of Carl's betrayal, Sam must seek help of psychic Oda Mae Brown, played by Whoopi Goldberg, who won an Academy Award for this role, to set things right and to protect Molly from Carl and his goons. So, very kind of snappery synopsis there. But so, Raimi, this is we're sort of doing this. It's kind of the idea, originates from you wanting to watch this movie again. Of course, me never seeing it. So tell us, why are we doing Ghost today?
Yeah. We were watching, like some Alain Delon movies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We were kind of on like this, a little bit of like a foreign art house kick for
We were.
And then
Yeah.
I was kind of feeling like I needed some like early 90s comfort food. Feeling kind of run down by the winter blues.
Oh, it's been brutal.
Demi Moore, is like in the zeitgeist right now. This kind of Oscar, we're in the throes of a very controversial, absurd Oscar season. And I'm always a big fan of the like comeback kid narrative of the kind of like 90s icon who sort of disappeared and then reemerges gloriously in this sort of like award season campaign.
The
So
Whale was a recent example.
Totally. And I'm always rooting for that person. And like, I love how there's like each person that's nominated becomes almost like an archetype of the
Right.
kind of, I don't know, it's like one's like the young ingenue, one is like the Judi Dench type, one is,
Right,
it's like they all have this archetype. And
Mickey
each
Rourke.
of them, Mickey Rourke
There
is
you
another
go.
great comeback.
right. There you go.
So I was, even like Jamie Lee Curtis to a certain extent. Like,
Sure.
there's-
Yeah.
all right. So I was kind of, in the Oscar fever. We were watching the Golden Globes. Demi Moore did that speech. I had this insane reaction where I was like crying.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
So stupid, but like I was like getting very I get very nostalgic for that like 90s Hollywood thing. And so anyway,
Yeah.
I said to Evan, "Hey, let's put Ghost on." And he's like, "No. Super resistant to it." He's like, "Yeah, it's some romance like dance like Patrick
let me-
Swayze." And I was like, no, it's a thriller. It's a thriller. Like you'll like it. He's like, no. So
I was like, I was literally like, a thriller? No, this ain't a thriller. So
I was like, no way.
So
No way.
I had never seen it. And, people who are up on the Patreon, our listeners, may have heard an episode we did semi-recently that was covering the 90s movies that we have never seen. And, each of us went around explaining what we thought the films we hadn't seen were actually about. And we kind of gauged how wrong we were. Tom famously never seen Jurassic Park, and trying to explain that to us was very funny. So anyway, this is similar.
God, I wish I could hear your version of Ghost.
Well, I can sort of recreate
Well,
it.
you can approximate it here, right?
Yeah, I can
But
approximate
it was incredible to be next to someone like who had never seen Ghost, because it's like every twist and turn he was like, oh,
I know.
genuinely shocked.
It was literally
yeah.
like I'm on opening night in 1990, spoiler free, and just being completely.
Whoa, they killed Swayze?
Yeah,
right in the
no,
beginning?
exactly. I didn't
He
know.
didn't know Swayze died.
I didn't know
He
the
literally
main
didn't know.
character dies.
I didn't.
Psycho.
I didn't know which.
It's called Ghost.
I didn't
so-
know which of the two was going to be
Right.
the ghost. Okay, now
Right.
obviously I knew, the famous, sort of clay wheel spinning, romance scene that's in the that's been parodied.
But you kept on saying, when is she gonna die? How is she gonna die?
Exactly.
So I was like, oh,
Whoa.
Okay.
not saying
That
that.
says it all, right?
So
there.
no, I didn't know that, and in my mind I had this image, and this is going to really take all credibility away from my "Do you want a piece of pizza?" Sort of
Yeah.
memories. Everyone's gonna
Mandela effect problems.
exactly. This is
Exactly.
going to be like Exhibit A evidence against me for our longtime listeners. But I had somehow, like in my head, just through seeing trailers, posters, whatever for this movie, assumed that there would be a scene, or there was a scene where it was actually like he was a ghost during the clay wheel scene,
Right.
and like
Dude.
That's what he
totally.
thought.
and you were gonna
Yeah.
see like
Okay.
him sculpting.
yeah.
I always think that too.
Right?
Like I watch it on cable and then I forget about it. But then I always think that he, as a ghost,
Is doing it.
appears behind her,
Right.
and helps her molding.
Right.
You know what? That would be pretty
They
bomb.
should have
stuff.
done that. Yeah. What the
That-
hell?
Like the thing is, they should have had it like the way the song reprises. They
Yeah.
should have had, and I'd forgotten. I thought it did happen. Then I rewatched it today, and I was like, oh, that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
because
okay.
what should happen is later in the film, she's sadly
Yes.
alone,
Yeah.
pottering. And then he's like, "Let me help you with that." And she's like, feeling. And,
Yeah.
and the thing is, since he's a ghost, this is brilliant. The impression of his hands can be seen
There you go.
You know,
on the clay.
there's 19
What the
versions of the
fuck?
script.
And then
so
she
I-
started
that,
right.
That was in one of the drafts. I'm
She
sure.
starts
you know?
making like
They
amazing
had to put it in one of the
pottery
drafts.
and
Yeah,
becomes like a
but
famous
the impression of his,
gallerist.
but the impression of his hands, because
Yeah,
you know,
yes,
would
yes.
be, you'd see him.
That would
through
that
his
would have been a
fingers.
good.
What the fuck?
I
So-
know, I know.
I'm sure
I know,
they
I
did
know.
that. I'm
Okay.
sure it was in the early draft or
All right.
whatever, and they
Right.
cut it out.
So
Anyway.
so that's what I thought, right? And I didn't realize it, but I thought this would be a steamy romantic drama, Dirty Dancing type
On par
thing.
with what? Okay, Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing, like that. This would be just for the housewives of the '90s, sweaty romance film. That's all I thought. So
Like
when-
no edge
no edge,
and no like
No thrills.
No thriller.
no thriller aspect, and so it's like
no gore.
no gore,
No drag me to hell.
No,
moments.
well, we'll get to that. Hang on. And I didn't realize that like this movie would also be, about like preventing like bank insider trading, or
Yeah.
like
it's like
that
the
stuff.
net at
Yeah,
times.
right.
Like it suddenly
So-
becomes
I know.
like that.
I didn't realize
It's
that.
like draining like virtual bank accounts. and,
Yeah,
like,
right,
actually
yeah.
board
Computers, yeah.
Can
So-
let me just say this again? Rewatching it, I was like, because I never really thought about this film. It's weird because I've seen it and I'm like, my brain goes, "Who cares?" But it's a classic sort of Hollywood thing. It's like Home Alone or something, But I wouldn't never thought about it. But I reflected and I went, this movie did something pretty cool and tricky. And it's part of the reason it's such a classic is because it's a multi-genre film and it works. Like Whoopi in her moments, the movie's a comedy.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad,
Yep.
And if you're into Whoopi enough, or just generally there's a comic touch to the film. Then it does get spooky. And then it does get thriller-y.
Thriller, yeah.
Like close the bank account and it's like hitting the space
The
bar.
buttons, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then, and this is the big thing, but it's not the only thing. The big chunk is that it's a huge romantic film. It's that's the last note of the film.
Yeah.
It's like monster romance. And I
And
thought
tearjerker.
Yeah, and I thought like, yeah, like couples and stuff, but man, teenagers on a first date,
Yeah.
fucking, it's over. Dude,
I know, but
like teenage emotions about like, I'll love you forever.
right.
yeah.
Well, let me.
I've always loved you.
Ditto.
I think
So it just blows it out the park.
Let me just put a bow on what I was just trying to say real quick, because I think it's like, this is my whole sort of thing about it is I think that last scene in the film, very emotional, he's going off to heaven, there's tears, all that stuff. I think that's like the last impression that our collective consciousness must have had about this movie. Like it ended on that note. Like I was talking to your aunt, Raimi, and like about this movie. Like, yeah, we just watched Ghost, and like that was weird. And she's like, "Oh, did you cry? Did you cry?" Whatever. And so it's like people remember that from it, but in reality, this is where I'm coming from, and then I'll shut up. Is like this is a movie that has scenes where it's like when he's a ghost and he's in the hospital, and all of a sudden this guy walks through him, and for a second, we're seeing from his perspective the insides of another person's body for like 10 seconds.
Right.
And that's like, what? That's a weird ass move to
But I
have in a
think that
movie that became
it's like-
so big,
I think that's the power of the romantic element, which is the main element, you know, ultimately. I think that is the takeaway for everybody is simply because it's so well done and it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And because I was watching the film, and there are long stretches in the film when it's not spooky and thrillery. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It is really ultimately about the relationship, and it has a little engine driving the narrative.
Yeah.
That is the thriller aspect, but it's very much so. I'm not surprised that all of that's the takeaway. The takeaway is her crying face and his anguished face, and it's really all very brilliantly done because it's such a beautiful, simple idea. It's like they're in the same room and they're both mourning the loss, but they're right next to each other.
I love how he loves this. I love it.
Yeah, I actually like this.
Are you about to cry?
Yes. I need a tissue. With no irony, I think they did a great job.
Sure.
But the actors and the script, very simple. And I think, this is another thought I had. It's such a simple story that I would not be surprised if there's a Bollywood ripoff.
Oh, of course.
Right.
An Indonesian ripoff, and I'm sure this film is huge around the world.
Of course.
Because it's got a very, and again,
Great
it's
concept.
really, there's all the elements, but the big takeaway is that it's a bang up romance.
I know. I just have to say though, I just watching it, so it comes across.
And we need these two opposing.
This is the opposing thing,
Perspectives.
right? So he's got the very mainstream popcorn, romance
As
side,
always.
right? As always here, as evidence from last week. But I just didn't ever in my wildest dreams anticipate there'd be a scene with that like Chevelli guy from Cuckoo's Nest who shows up to train Patrick Swayze how to use his ghost powers in the subway tracks. And I don't know, that just to me wasn't what I ever pictured what this movie was going to be.
He's a magical hobo.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Magical subway vagrant. No, but what surprised me, just to drill down on this thread you're getting into, when I rewatched it fucking 2 months ago in the hotel, was I'd forgotten there's like a big gory scene of that guy getting a huge pane of glass shard in his stomach with blood everywhere, and I was like, and I did joke to myself then. I went like, if you took the still and went, ladies and gentlemen, Ghost.
Yeah.
Like everyone's favorite romance, Ghost. Like,
I know. If you extrapolated these moments.
Yeah. So I got you.
And that's like a Dario Argento still,
there. There is, like you were saying, Tom, the mixture of genre, but each one is done with such, it's like so full on. It's done to such
it commits the hell out of every.
That's what
kind.
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
it commits, so it totally is sort of insane.
Yeah.
I think to watch with fresh eyes because you're like, this is something that's not really done anymore.
Exactly.
It totally
I
works.
think the secret to that is having somebody like Zucker who is like a comedy expert. you know?
Right.
And full disclosure, my very first job in LA was working for Jerry Zucker.
That's crazy.
Holy crap.
Circa 2001. I didn't work. He would never remember me, and I don't have any like crazy stories or insights or anything like that from that.
No, like blow cane anecdote.
no, nothing like that. But he did seem to he had done really well from his films. But it was about in 2001 or something like that. But
wow.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, he went from like he and his brother made movies together, right? Like
The Zucker
Jerry
brothers.
and David Zucker.
Yeah.
And
Airplane.
and before this, the Kentucky Fried Movie, Airplane, Top Secret, Ruthless
Patrick.
People, Naked Gun, and then Ghost. So he's like he had this
Right.
string of like hit. Not all of them hits, but like Naked Gun, Airplane, those are some really
monsters.
successful comedy
Airplane's
movies.
one of the comedies of all time.
Yeah.
You never really, it's really rare to have a thriller romance directed by a comedy director,
Totally.
and he did know the right amount to put in, but he also wanted to switch up genres, like start a new career and stuff. And if you have to, if you're going to switch genres, you might as well have your next one be a huge mega hit, so
Yeah.
it worked out pretty good for him. It's like made like $500 million or something.
Yeah, insane.
If we are talking about like the genesis of this film, Zuckerberg, very distinctive
Zuckerberg.
person. Ooh, what's his name?
Just Jerry Zucker.
Sorry.
Sorry.
He haunts my dreams.
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I see Zuckerberg in my nightmares.
Yeah.
No. Zucker. So Zucker is the director, but the writer, I was getting into him. He's kind of an odd duck. And when I learned about him, Bruce Joel
Rubin. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Joel Rubin. What a freaky deaky guy. And I it all made sense to me because it's a certain kind of boomer energy going on here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Writer. Because he was into film. He studied in college in New York with De Palma and Scorsese. And then he freaked out, did a lot of acid, and he went on that like Kashmir trail in the Middle East for years. And then went to like Tibet and studied with like Zen monks and stuff like that. And he just got really far out in the 70s. But then he did come back and get into writing scripts and making films. But if you really think about that, like there's he's really into like sort of like Zen reincarnation fairy tale energy going on with Ghost,
Well,
you know what I mean?
Raimi
And that's very cool. Like it's a cool form of, it's like not a pain in the ass baby boomer thing like like Forrest Gump or something.
Sure,
It's actually
sure.
kind of interesting. And he also did Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
Can you
Good ass
believe
shit
it's
for 1990.
Nightmare Fuel.
the same director?
So he's coming off this like LSD hangover Zen Buddhist hippie thing, and I see that in Ghost. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I found that interesting.
And Raimi, you can give us the 411 on what was he? How did he? What was he inspired by again? It was,
He watched Hamlet
of course, a production of
and
him.
was like, okay, so what if like this is just, but this is also funny because it's almost the opposite of what you were saying, Tom. I also think there's something just very 90s Hollywood about this idea of writing this script, of being like, let me take all of these different ingredients and kind of like put them, in a blender. And like, we're like, they're all working on like lots, it's like it's almost like an era. It's just like, I appreciate that era too. Like thinking back, like I think J.J. Abrams was there. A bunch of these guys had these offices on like, the Paramount lot.
It's kind of like The
And
Player.
their
The Player,
job was to sit
the
there
film.
and it's like very Altman, The Player.
Yeah.
It's that early 90s and they're having to come up with these concepts, right? And so I guess he saw Hamlet and was like, okay, what if you took this idea and then like transplanted it into like modern America and New York City, and it's someone grappling with something with a ghost, but then let's like sprinkle this element and that, and then I think he didn't realize how much like it would resonate. And then he sent it to like the producers and like this became kind of like one of those hot commodity scripts.
It did, and he had this kind of like hope that it would be like a Scorsese or a Spielberg
Yeah,
would
interesting, I know.
Yeah.
want this script, and apparently he cried when he heard that it was Jerry Zucker who wanted to direct.
We
it.
got your director. It's the airplane guy. But see, the thing is, and this gets me into like, I'm talking about this strain of boomerism that I find interesting because Zucker and him wound up bonding over dinner.
Yes.
And that's a very old school kind of Hollywood thing where it's like they like get simpatico and they just sit down and talk and they realize that maybe this isn't such a bad partnership because he was saying Zucker was surprisingly philosophical and he was really getting under the skin of like this potential of this weird ghost story. So I it's out of respect I'm mentioning this because I think that it's like it doesn't have a brain so much that's surprising, but it has like a different kind of heart than romances usually do, and it had a new territory of like the the other world and stuff like that, and it's both comical and kind of like spooky, but it's also it works in romance. Like it's a romantic ghost story, and I think they really figured something out with it.
I love this take.
Oh my god,
I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
it's amazing,
It's
Tom.
amazing.
But I think, like the melodrama too. I think like those kind of big tearjerker movies, like Love Story, or something that
Yeah.
really just it is about that like eternal bond between two people,
Yeah.
and you can cry at the end, and people love that. I don't think there had been something like that in a long time. Like there was like the Deborah Winger movies, and you had that genre, and I don't think that had been happening.
What
in
do you
the
mean?
80s
Like
for-
which films?
Well, there's like the Terms of Endearment and
Sure.
Okay,
these kind of
yeah.
movies that work those kind of more, like I don't want to say like women's films, but
Yeah,
like
sure.
you could cry, you could laugh.
Yes.
They were romantic. They were adult movies.
But it's
You
about
could
like
go see-
loss, crying. and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
there's-
and she's like that's the thing. There's anyway. I'll shut up. It's just
Well,
like
beaches.
they're adding
Oh,
this
beaches.
LSD like dimension of like the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
like,
there is.
which makes it kind of special because otherwise, like Terms of Endearment's very much grounded in reality.
Yeah,
like
there's-
no one's walking into the light. at
No
the end
one's
of
no
Terms of
one's no one's walking into other people's bodies. I mean, that's
Well,
what I
there's
was
that
trying to
too,
say.
yes.
I mean, there is almost
it
like
is
a
absurd.
There is
There's-
almost like an altered
Absurd
states
love.
There's an altered states quality to this movie that's maybe a little
and
under.
Close Encounters kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Close Encounters.
Yeah. Marcus, where
There's another autobiographical detail of Bruce that's kind of interesting. Like that, he was gay and he was married for a long time.
Oh.
And this article was speculating. One of the most famous cultural moments in this film is when she says, "I love you," and he can't say "I love you" back. He says "ditto."
Yeah.
And that landed really big. I remember like people were, because I was young, I was a kid when I saw this, but when it came out, but I remember people were saying that it landed culturally. I probably
Yeah,
said it,
definitely.
But
Ditto,
it was,
you're
so
saying.
the
Ditto,
article
yeah.
was
You would say ditto? Is that what you're
ditto,
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
ditto. Yeah. People would say ditto. It was like it kind of landed. Anyway,
I used to say that I think as a kid with like friends even.
yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I miss it all.
I think this article that I was reading was speculating that when he was in college or whatever, he would have girlfriends, but he wouldn't. They would say "I love you," and he would just say ditto back to them. That was what this article was saying. It was like, that is where that comes from. I don't know if he literally said it or if that's where that energy was coming from.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
just kind of an interesting autobiographical
let's-
detail on this guy.
Before we get to the set pieces, because there's quite a few I want to dive into in this movie. I want to talk just a little about the casting process because it's very interesting. Seemed like from jump, writer wanted Demi in the film. That was kind of the person that he had in mind, and they were able
Is
to
she
get.
coming off like Saint Elmo's Fire? Like what was she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because she did Saint Elmo's Fire, but then a few like another Rob Lowe movie, kind of like smaller parts. So
Nothing
she had
big.
not done
One-
a
nothing big.
massive movie yet.
Yeah.
One Crazy Summer. I remember she was.
Oh.
I remember
Yeah.
her from those kind of films.
Yeah.
But she didn't have a monster until
Not yet.
Okay.
This was her.
This was
yeah,
it.
This is her big.
This is her big first breakout thing into the big mainstream. But for the lead, for our ghost, there was obviously who were some of the people? Oh, Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
was the big one.
and
they
he was
wanted.
like, hell no.
He's like, fuck this,
This
because
is
the
bat
script.
shit.
Well, he's too old.
That's what's weird. That
Totally.
regarding Henry movie is kind of similar in a way.
Sure.
He's
Yeah,
not
sure.
dead, but
He could work.
Vegetable.
yeah.
He just didn't get it. He just
But
didn't
he
get
was
it.
like,
the
no,
physicality
this isn't.
almost.
Sorry.
It brings the physicality that being that hillbilly belly dancer vibe. That he
Okay,
has.
I want to talk about that because he has this energy that he brings to this film that, again, a lot of people say that this movie could have been a total dud, not worked, and the cast is kind
Totally.
of what makes
Very
it
easy.
does
Very easy.
work, but he is bringing this sort of hillbilly Christian conviction that he sort of brings. Raimi pointed out that it was kind of like a Christian film at
Oh,
times
totally.
towards
No,
the end.
totally.
And he does
he's
bring
like
that.
down home, like values face kind of.
Pure. So
But
pure.
right, but I was loving the agility. He is like a ballet dancer.
Oh, yeah.
trained, so he's so agile,
and he's
there's a
dressed like a belly.
Yeah.
physicality. Yeah, but there's all this good physicality that he can express it in the film. And Harrison Ford's just like a chunk.
Yeah.
Just like damn, he really just stood there.
Yeah,
no, he just
but-
doesn't have like this agile grace of Swayze. That really was a nice.
I love how you love
He's
that.
leaping around and like
Yeah,
rolling
right, like going
and
through
it's-
the
They
subway. and shit,
literally
yeah.
give him like a ballet dancer's like dress shirt that he wears, and he's got the tight
Like pirate
pants. So
He's
he
a
looks like a swashbuckling,
Like slim trousers.
yeah, like frolicking.
No, he looks like Pirates of Panzan's
It's like
motherfucker.
almost like a flamenco dancer.
I know, very much. With
does.
the red billowy sleeves and the black pants.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
very
It's great,
funny.
and it works.
It works.
But it is also like that does make me laugh. Like it's so hard. Like for me with like
Me
Swayze,
too.
I was never like a Dirty Dancing kid. I was never like a Swayze person.
Yeah.
and he always kind of makes me laugh. But then now watching it, I do have this like affection because there's a purity.
Yeah, me
there.
too. And he's dead.
Yeah.
It's kind of-
well, yeah, and it's sad, but he has
seems
also
like a neat, nice guy.
No,
well,
he-
what I like about him, if we're doing this, it's like what I was trying to say before, is this sort of hillbilly ballet dancer.
Yeah.
And it's this cool thing that happens in America sometimes where a guy is sort of a contradiction in his existence, where he's like down home, but he's like a trained like ballet dancer,
Yeah.
and so I like that. The dimensions within this one actor, you see them right on the surface in his body and his face and the way he acts, his voice,
Yeah.
But he does.
So he's unique. He's singular.
He does have also though. It's just hard not to laugh. I hate to say it, but he does have these facials and these reactions in this film that are very
Yeah.
derpy
incredible.
and cross-eyed and
The penny scene.
somewhat
It's like,
somewhat Kipper kiddish. I don't know. To me, at times.
Okay.
There's a lot of
But he's like, when he's looking at his death scene and everything, and it's pretty crazy. But it's
Okay.
There was a cross-eyed moment, yeah, for
There's
sure.
a couple cross-eyed.
And the penny
cross-eyes.
scene, like he like looks at like she looks amazing, and he's like kind of like
I know, yeah.
like there's a
But I
funny
lo-
face he makes that looks like Pee Wee Herman. Kind
Yeah.
of like,
I
don't know.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it all works.
but what's funny is that like they did not want him. Like they were like, and
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
the writer said or Zucker said, over my dead body.
After
we
he
won't-
saw
we won't-
Roadhouse.
we won't even.
He saw. He
yeah,
saw.
we
But
won't
he's
even
coming
on-
off of a monster with Dirty Dancing.
So, but he also just did Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
And like you were saying, Tom, like he was kind of the Texas rough and tumble guy.
Right.
And in their minds, they thought, no,
Oh,
he's
he's
too-
miscast. Yeah.
I love how
Trash
the
and-
director doesn't want the writer doesn't want the director, then the
Director
director doesn't want the lead actor.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because I think it's one of those amazing accidents in film history. Like we've talked
Yeah.
before where like Sissy Spacek with Carrie or Rosemary's Baby, like Mia Farrow, where it's like it had to be that person. I'm not comparing those movies to Ghost, but it's like there's just something about it. Like it had to be Patrick Swayze. Like,
Yeah.
like he has
Yeah.
that essence. He's so sweet and earnest.
Well, do
And-
we have any other names of contention? Other Harrison Ford. And
That's
God,
the big
who
one.
else?
That's the big
no.
one.
I don't know if they like mentioned. I'm assuming it probably went out to like every.
Oh, okay.
I
Robert
I
Kennedy
can't
Jr.
remember. Oh, that would be great.
Would have been pretty good.
Rob Lowe.
You know who it was?
it's
Many.
Rob
Okay, here we go.
Lowe.
I got it. Many actors were considered for the role of Sam Wheat in the 1990 movie Ghost, including Tom Cruise.
You were gonna give me
Oh,
that
there you
cherry
go.
pie,
Oh,
sweet
oh,
mama baby.
Interesting.
Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or Bruce Willis.
Oh,
No.
horrible.
He did it later in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
finally got his
He finally got his ghost moment.
Yeah.
See, the
Or-
thing is, Swayze's cheesy and this movie's cheesy.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Thank
know?
you. That's what I'm
It's
trying
so
to
perfect.
Don't be a
it's-
real actor and
see.
ghost.
say. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking today. I'm like, it couldn't be a real actor.
yeah.
They would be like, this is ridiculous. This is
Exactly.
like,
Oh, you
what the
know what's a
fuck?
good here's a good one. Here's my AI challenge for who I'd want to see in Ghost, who was actually considered for the role but turned it down because he thought the script wasn't funny. How about this, guys? How about for the role of Sam Wheat, Paul Hogan? Crocodile.
Say it again?
Crocodile Dundee's Paul Hogan.
Now that's a penny. yeah. Fuck that
He's
guy
a ghost.
all day.
And he's from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Australian ghost. No. Give me another pint of like dingo or whatever.
Glog. What is it
He
called?
sucks.
Grog.
Grog.
Wow, that sucks, dude.
Yeah,
that
so-
shows you how big he was. Now.
But
Anyway,
it's
Is
interesting.
Ghost, you
Oh,
saw
sorry,
you'd never seen Ghost, Evan, but had you seen Ghost, Dad?
I was just gonna say, too,
You know,
I
You were
I'm
just
not-
gonna say that.
okay, I have it in my note. I have it in my notes.
She's a big Ghost Dad fan.
Dad. I had
weird.
I had on Laserdisc, and
pretty
I fucking
trippy.
loved Ghost Dad.
it's pretty trippy.
No,
Sherman Helmsley.
The effects are total Ghost Dad.
in this
Like,
movie.
Yeah.
It's all Ghost Dad.
It
it's
is,
like the
yeah.
jumping
Well, isn't
in
it the
out of
same
bodies
movie,
and-
only it's just a dad?
yes. Marcus, thank you so much for bringing this
Guy
up because
from-
I
guy
was
from the Jeffersons.
really
Raimi talks about Ghost
All right,
Dad
so should
once.
we do chunks, scene chunks?
Yeah, Raimi talks about Ghost Dad once.
I
a
do talk
quarter.
about
once
Ghost Dad.
once a
It's
fiscal.
hot. I'm into it.
Once a
I do
fiscal
want to
quarter.
mention a little more about Demi, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sure.
I think for like I'm kind of fascinated like with her as like a movie star right now because I'm kind of going back and like really trying to understand like what happened in her career, like who she was in that moment.
Right.
And like so Marcus, we were texting about it earlier, like I was going back and reading the Vanity Fair pieces. So Ghost is right before the Vanity Fair cover where
Right.
she's pregnant and like naked that Annie Leibovitz shot.
Right.
But she had recently, I mean, I guess she'd been with Bruce Willis for like 4 years. Before that, like, you know, she had like a tough childhood, totally scrappy. She was doing like kind of some like nudie magazine things. Then she was
in
on,
Parasite, right?
right, Slug movie. Like, so she like really was like, she was like Hard Knocks. Like she was gritty and like worked really hard, like scrapping her way to make it in Hollywood. And then eventually got like, she was on General Hospital, but then got scouted by Joel Schumacher for St. Elmo's Fire. She
Right.
was just walking by on the lot. And he was like, she looked like a wild Arabian horse with her long, and she rode a motorcycle. Like she was kind of like a wild child, you know,
Okay.
into drugs, kind of rock and roll, crazy girl.
Wow.
She's got a good voice for that.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
raspy voice. So it's interesting. Like she almost had that Madonna thing, people would say, where she would talk to her and it's like, okay, this girl's gonna make it, but like she has so much fucking determination and drive. And like that was kind of her, she was like, did not take shit from anybody.
It was in
And it was
bands or something too, right? Or like wrote songs or something.
Yeah, and she like
Oh, yeah,
dated
yep.
guys in bands.
Yep,
and
yep,
all,
yep.
all of that stuff.
Yep.
So then, cut to like she's in the Brat Pack. So she's kind of like in that. She's Emilio and her are like a couple.
Wow.
They're kind of like the hot couple, but she's not as big, almost a star in a weird way. But she was kind of like the cool girl, kind of. Emilio and her break up. And then it's like everyone's trying to figure out what their next stage is to like become like how do we cross over from like the teen Brat Pack and
Young
like she's
Guns era.
yeah and like how do we
Western?
yes 100%. And so then she ends up getting with Bruce Willis and like then when she was with him it kind of became like people were saying that was like a little bit of like her ticket to stardom.
Moonlighting era. So he was like really big. Like,
Really big.
and when Die Hard is 89, 88, 89.
Yeah, 80.
something.
Somewhere
Yeah, so it was
around
like
there,
probably
yeah.
around. He was like
88.
huge star. And so it's interesting. Like for in this moment, she was kind of like, I'm gonna prove myself. No one fucking believes in me. Like I'm still considered like the teen. People are saying like the only reason I'm famous is because of Bruce. And so Ghost
Lots of
was
proof.
like her moment to be like, I'm a serious actress. I have depth. I have emotions.
Right.
And then like when I suggest that anyone read these Vanity Fair pieces, we'll maybe link to it.
Okay.
Because it's pretty incredible. It's just like this amazing snapshot of like
that time.
1991, 1992 LA, eating at the Ivy. She has like bodyguards, an assistant, the whole deal. And she's like, I will fucking become a star no matter what. And she's trying to get a part in A Few Good Men. And it's just this really kind of interesting
What she got.
vibe.
Yeah.
All right.
And then it's like,
You
okay.
saying Madonna helped me out understanding that the Blind Ambition tour,
Right.
Right.
that style.
And coming from a really scrappy background and being like, I
Right.
fucking lived through hell. And like, I believe in myself. And people would be like, she's difficult. She's a bitch. But she really was just like, no, I know what I want. And that's what I want.
Okay.
I guess she was sort of difficult in this film too, right? I keep reading that she and Zucker had a lot of conflict and
Yeah.
stuff. And I guess
Yeah.
one of the main stories is that she cut her hair without telling them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's actually what Mia Farrow did too, right?
Yeah.
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 But yeah, so she cut her hair off, and Zucker was like, "Hey, where's your long hair that you cast in this movie?"
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and then
right.
she's
Then
got
it
that
became
great
this
like
big iconic
tomboy.
thing,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it was.
totally.
Yeah. All right. we got to
there you
get
go.
to the movie.
Girls got the demi cut for a while. Is that-
Yeah.
And then that was like Jennifer Jason Leigh in Single White Female. That was a big like style thing. And it was like kind of tomboy downtown New York with the little bowl
okay.
cut. Yeah,
Okay.
It is
all right.
kind of like Welcome to the '90s, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Evan.
All right. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. We got to get to the movie because we only have 27 minutes left and we got to talk about all these scenes. All right, so let's just start with how this movie opens. It again, just I didn't anticipate this. The movie opens with this very weird traveling Steadicam, I guess, of eerie supernatural shots of dusty heirlooms and creepy, smoke and everything, and it really does set the mood for this like haunted film. I mean,
In a way, I thought that was almost a joke. Like I thought that was Zucker starting with a joke, being like, "You're thinking this is going to be a spooky ghost movie,
Probably.
and then they break a hole and they're just really just clearing out.
yeah, it's the loft. It is the loft,
Yeah.
but it's just kind of like, whoa, I don't know. It's just a weird tone to set with this movie, that you're getting. It's like, where are we going with this? So that's interesting. Then, we meet, Patrick Swayze, who's playing this banker, and he's got the, that insane haircut of the sort of stockbroker of the era.
It's also funny that Swayze being an investment banker in New York. It
Totally doesn't sell it at all.
not at all.
Yeah, right.
No,
How many
no.
securities we got down on there?
Yeah, right.
I'm meeting the Japanese in a
Take
second.
a second look at those dividends. Huh?
Y'all should people on here.
Dividends.
Sorry.
Yeah, totally.
But I love it.
Yeah, and of course he's got the commitment issues and the relationship. He's not willing to say "I love you" back. The ditto thing, as we mentioned, that's sort of the setup to where this film is going to be going in terms of their relationship. And so very interesting. Then we sort of meet. Once they refurbish the loft, we have Demi Moore's character is this kind of archetypal female artist of the early 90s living that sort of
Ceramicist in Soho.
yeah, the
it
Soto
reminds me
loft.
of New York Stories.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
You know,
Rosanna
After
Arquette.
Hours.
Rosanna Arquette.
After Hours.
The
too.
is that the Coppola story? Which one is it?
I can't remember.
Who did the story of the artist? Who cares?
I think Scorsese did.
I think
that.
Scorsese.
You're right. It is.
But also After
Nick
Hours,
Nolte.
where
And After Hours. It's a
the sculptress who lives in the loft, and
So it's like a great kind of trope of that
What a
I
time!
feel like.
What a time
Absolutely.
where a artist can and afford a loft in Soho, right? But that's just a great little snapshot of that time in New York. The late 80s, 90s.
Yep,
that
yep.
loft life, is great. But now let's get to this scene because I do want to talk about this. And this again I had this image in my head of the clay scene, the romance scene, and of course it played out much different than I thought. And I don't know, guys, to me, it was pretty queasy to me. That's how it played to me because I did not find it, I think, as sexy or phallic as they wanted me to. To me, it just was fucking scatological to me. That's how I was watching this. Wet,
All right. I
wet
never
brown,
considered that, but all right.
wet brown holding. It was just, I just,
Holding.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't take it. You know how I felt. I can't do any sex scene without cringing. So
I was
not even the
mortified.
G-rated ones.
I was mortified. But apparently,
All right. Okay.
no, I'm just saying it just, I was shocked at like,
just-
this is what people found to be like sexy back then, It just seemed weird to me. And so I'm watching this and, but of course you can, I think Raimi, I think it was improv or it was like,
Yeah.
well, how
That,
did
like the part where like it falls apart and then she like laughs and he puts like that whole thing was like just in the moment and they were like,
Wow.
oh, this is so natural and great. And then they were like, let's just keep on going and have that lead into like the sex scene. So that wasn't really written in the script. They just had this great vibe.
yeah.
In that
That
moment.
helps it work.
Yeah.
And of course
Great scene.
you can see Tom loves every frame of this movie, but I
Ghost.
it's like
I love Ghost, yo.
I love
like
this.
it's like okay,
I
well,
don't
that's,
love Ghost.
you love Ghost, but
I respect it as a movie. Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
But it's obviously like this thing that hit because of the it's has the sensuality sort of vibe
And the
to
song.
it. Yeah, because this
Let's not
movie.
sleep
the,
on
the
the
boomer
song.
energy of that Righteous Brothers song.
Oh,
Sure.
100%.
Unchained Melody.
I mean, isn't there like it reminds me of Top Gun? Also had that like
Oh, all of those like bluesy. and-
Yeah.
mid '60s bluesy kind of boomers, like,
Yeah.
thinking about high school.
Yeah, totally.
Yes,
So
definitely.
it has that. I was just surprised that like people were so down for just like scooping the wet clay and
a different time.
Weirded
It's
me
very
out.
mom too. Like it's very mom
guess.
romance drugstore novel where it's like
Yeah.
he's just sweet and it's beautiful and it's sensual and it's not raunchy. So yeah, I think a lot of
it's
housewives.
tastefully erotic. No,
Yeah.
it's a romance novel come to life. This whole film.
And we should say too, there's this movie. There is no nudity. You know,
No.
it doesn't have any nudity or
You don't
any,
see Demi until Indecent Proposal.
They don't have
I mean,
sex in the movie. They just
Yeah.
hold each other for a while, and she, is very happy about that. Like it doesn't go into a salacious zone.
It's
at all.
wholesome. It's
Wholesome.
almost a family film.
It is
A love
right.
story.
Exactly.
It is.
besides like the gritty, like street criminals.
And the impaling of
Yeah.
shards of glass.
Well,
The
and
demons.
the demons. The demons.
We got it. We're gonna
Can't
get
wait
there.
to
But you know, that said, that's outside of the guy getting with the shard of glass. Like it always makes you feel like a Disney haunted mansion. Like it doesn't feel that scary.
No.
Like it has kind of a
No.
Disneyland,
Yes.
like scariness to it.
Yes.
which isn't very scary.
Definitely.
Totally. Again, then
Cartoony.
again, remember, I didn't know who was the ghost in this movie. And so we get to, Patrick's death scene in the film, where he's killed by Willie Lopez in the alleyway there in Soho. And shocking, gory,
Yeah.
moment. And just again, I go back to the facials, that he delivers in that
Amazing facials.
very amazing facials. And he's dead, but what it does is it triggers this again very trippy sequence that again felt very bizarre to me, because again I'm thinking about this movie as we know now. It's it was a lower budget movie. It's not the big blockbuster. It wasn't made as the big blockbuster as it became, which makes sense now in hindsight. But like there's these sequences that follow his death that are like these very visceral kind of nightmare, weird set pieces where he dies, but we're not sure if it really happened yet. And there's these weird sort of cracking of reality where he wakes up and it's all a nightmare and he's covered in sweat, but then he looks next to him and there's like this statue of like a nun there next to him, and that was pretty weird. And then guys, we have a little Kevin Finnerty action that happens where it's kind of like the cracks of the of what's breaking through. Is he going to live? Is he going to die in that alleyway? And we sort of have that. And then of course you have the very signature 1990 sort of X-Files style soul leaving him or whatever that white lights are that are protruding from him.
That's pretty wild.
And it is kind of wild. I don't know. I wasn't anticipating all that. So,
Yeah.
you know, again,
And even just the ghost effect, like before you had seen that, now to watch that, it's, if like a younger person now watched that with no context, it would be pretty, I think, jarring.
It has a Disney quality to it.
That
does.
Disney ghost effect.
And
Yeah.
the animating, like spirit waves and stuff, and just the shininess of it, the thing that goes around his body, kind of.
Yeah.
how about this? I was kind of Marcusing about this, and I was wondering if you picked up on this, which is, again, we talked about, him being able to see through people's bodies and stuff like that. Very strange. But then there's this extra weird moment of a weird fixation this movie has with him going through doors and they get molecular on the inside of what is in a door, which looks like this nether realm from another space. But the Marcus quality I wanted to ask about is this like them leaning into the limitations of the technology at the time? Because when Patrick puts his arm into the door, it's kind of sucking the color out of his body and he's almost absorbing the color of the door.
Yeah, he becomes like a gray door.
I don't know if that was what they were trying to achieve or is that just the limitations of what was available, but that's a
Going
weird
with it.
Yeah, weird choice.
It is weird. I guess they would have shot it on. I mean, it looks like a mat around his body, you know. And there's some interesting stuff with like motion control, maybe, or something like when he's running up the stairs and he jumps through Willie at one point.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
There was some interesting stuff where they decided to move the camera and it kind of made the effect more like, how'd they do that? But anytime it's still, it feels like he's on a blue screen or whatever.
And that's perfect evidence of Mr. Ballet, fucking going to town there where they must have, of course, shot those sequences where he's just fighting with himself and he's,
Right.
exercising his movement abilities.
The
He's so
pirouettes,
lithe.
and the leaping, and it's amazing.
The frolicking is on display. But
I
then,
love it.
oh my God, the quote for this episode from you.
I love Ghost.
I love it.
While we're on the subject of look, I just need to get this out real quick.
Sure.
Cinematography in this film looks pretty good for like, this is basically to me like the last movie of the 80s,
Sure.
rather than the first movie in the 90s,
Yeah.
But it does look pretty good for an 80s movie, And
It does.
the cinematography is done by Adam Greenberg, who was the cinematographer for Lemon Popsicle,
Yes.
Last American Virgin. Shout out to one of our episodes. Yeah.
Wow, crazy.
He's like
cool.
an Israeli guy, and the Terminator, La Bamba, Turner and Hooch, Tom's favorite movie, 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh, but no, Turner and Hooch. I saw Turner and Hooch elements
Yeah.
in some of the
He
cinematography.
shot
course, right?
Turner. Oh,
I was
wow.
going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing.
Anyway, Terminator 2.
Awesome.
Anyway, the guy's snakes on a plane,
Right on.
but the guy, he's in a lot of stuff.
Jesus.
So.
That's right. Wow.
Right
Amazing.
on. Respect.
And then, of course, the scene that for me was like the fuck in this movie that I just never would have, I've already said this, but never would have thought it would be in it, is Vincent Chiavelli's cameos. And, so of course,
great.
now Patrick Swayze's the ghost and he's trying to figure everything out. He's on the subway, but all of a sudden that fucking scary fucking Chiavelli face appears and he's just charging at him and pinning him down and glass is breaking and he's yelling and we had it on very loud and I was kind of like, like it was,
Okay.
it's a little freaky, man.
And that face,
Dude, I know.
There's only one face like that.
I know.
Vincent Scaraffelli.
I know. I used to
Scaraffelli.
was scared of him as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's terrifying.
very
But
scary.
once again, it is a tonal shift that if you're not expecting it,
Yeah.
like we know the movie so well because
Yeah,
we grew up with it.
I
Like
got-
it was such a part of our consciousness. But if it's not, you're like, where the fuck is this?
Exactly.
Right. No, I see that.
And I do
In
think
retrospect.
that it's part of just the landscape of big blockbuster movies, or what does become a big blockbuster movie. It's just evolved so much. So I'm watching this and I'm seeing a scene like that, and I'm just like, I just can't believe this movie became what it became with a scene like
Yeah.
that. And you guys growing up with it, seeing it, it's like, it's just a weird experience. Like being like, this is caveman reacts to Ghost.
No, I
you know,
gotcha.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's but it's true. Like, it was all factored in. Like I
Yeah.
just somehow knew about this film
Because you guys
almost
are like,
immediately.
yeah, the
Exactly.
Chiavelli
Tape,
scene.
it's seriously 5 out of like 4 to 5 times it's going to be on cable
Yeah.
for flipping channels. you know?
Right.
So you're just like used to it because it's
Yeah,
always
you guys
been
are-
in your mind. It's never
Yeah.
been.
It's like you don't have to listen. You don't have to make a point to go out and listen to Taylor Swift, but you know some songs.
Sure.
They're just like be at the
Yeah.
gas station. Be at the
Let
grocery
me
store,
let me phrase it this way. I'd never seen Home Alone. Meaning I've never sat down.
Yeah.
Starts, credits,
Right.
closing credits. I've just watched, but I have seen Home Alone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's this scene in the church with the old man, and then it's like I know every moment of that movie.
That's
but I've never
amazing.
actually watched the whole thing.
There you
start
go.
to end.
But
That's all.
it's almost like if I
like
had
that
never
kind of
seen
movie.
Dirty Dancing and then I watched it and then there was like a slasher component.
Yes.
Like there was
Yeah.
like a Jason
Like a
character
like a
going
chest
around.
bursting scene.
Yeah, like in the camp killing people. Like I would just be like, what the fuck is it? You know,
sure.
like it was just like
Well, again, it is called Ghost, though.
Which is a
It is
weird
called
title.
Ghost.
But Ghost.
That's
it
a
could
weird
be-
title.
like
it
more
could-
spiritual and
That's a
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
title, though. It's not like a
Ghost Dad. And this had Ghost Dad
Yes.
elements. You know, it's like
Ghost
Yeah.
could be. That's a weird title for this movie. Like this should be like a Gerard film. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like Saving
Yeah, yeah,
Ghost.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay, we should move on. Anyway, so we've talked about
haunting,
haunting,
like haunting.
busting.
Like
Haunted Heart.
What's her name? What's her
haunted
name?
love.
Molly, Haunting Molly.
Haunting Molly.
Okay,
That's an old Pogue song.
okay. All right, so
whatever.
oh Jesus Christ. Okay, so Whoopi, we talked a little bit about her.
Dude, whoopee.
Yeah.
Finally.
Whoopi, dude.
Beep.
Let's go.
So of course, she tells very humorous stories about being cast in this film. They had this wide open casting, for African American women, for any African American women who were in acting at the time in Hollywood, but she wasn't like included in it. They didn't want her because
They saw every single other black actress. In Hollywood
Every
except
single
Whoopi.
other one.
And they say, we don't want to see Whoopi. We do not want to see her.
yeah.
because she was a thing then. I mean, she had done Color Purple.
She was big, and she was
her
a
Broadway
comedian.
stuff. Yeah.
and stand up and whatnot. And they just didn't feel like she was right. And then, of course, sweetheart Patrick Swayze was like, well, I ain't going to be in this movie unless we, like I read with Whoopi. And so read with Whoopi. Everyone loved Whoopi, and of course, she brings a lot to this movie. She brings a lot of the, the big lines in the film.
I just tell her in my own way. Molly, you in danger, girl.
She wins the Oscar, as we mentioned, and she does provide this like very kinetic, comedic, sort of performance.
Just kind of a comic relief thing.
Right.
But I will say, and when I was watching it today, I was like, at first I was ready to kind of mock it and go like, wow, what were they thinking at the Oscars? Is this kind of a WTF Oscar win? Like what? And by the way, it's very rare for anyone to win for a comedic role. It's not exclusively comedic, but it's mostly comedic. That does not happen. They don't do that.
When Marissa Tomei won, she got punished for like the rest of her career from My Cousin Vinny.
Right.
But that's a different topic.
Right.
Yeah.
No, right. So that's rare. But I got to say, by the end of the film, with Whoopi's performance, she did do a lot of things and jump through a lot of hoops, and she did have different tone shifts that weren't always comedic.
Right.
And by the end, it's if you're riding the wave, it's very touching when Patrick possesses her body and they dance. And when they dance and she touches Demi's hand, it's like.
Yep.
You were going to give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It's that kind of vibe, like Whoopi approaches Demi.
But Evan also freaked out in that moment because he was like, what are we about to see? What the fuck moment are we about to see?
I had no idea.
Lesbian scene.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know where it went. And then, of course, Raimi, you filled me in that like reviewers at the time, which I don't think were super kind to this film.
Yeah, the critics really trashed this movie.
Yeah,
because
they're
critics
absurd. Yeah. But one reviewer was let down because they thought they were going to get this, interracial lesbian scene that had never been in a
cutaway.
But that's how batshit this movie is in the sense that like it lands.
Right.
Because in other people's hands or with the wrong performances, like you would just be like, what the fuck?
Well,
but it's like it does kind of.
It would be a legendary, like, what WTF scene.
But in that moment, you're kind of taken with that moment.
And the thing is, this is the beauty of film sometimes. It's all in the power of their faces. Whoopi's face, her face changes.
Yeah, she's great.
She becomes that. See, that is hard to do that kind of stuff. It's almost like, like Twin Peaks possession kind of stuff.
I know.
Like what's the Kyle MacLachlan or something like that. He has to like be different people in the same body, and like she does change, and it's like Demi does sell like her like everything she's going through, the loss, but then like feeling like I'm having one more moment with him, and it all works, and it's their fucking faces, and the film calms down and lets it just be mostly faces. Song, crank up the fucking song again.
He loves this,
and it does work, but it could not. It could easily not work.
Yeah, and just for me, it's like too thinking about this. It's like, what was it like on set? When you say it's not an easy thing to do, it's like, I can't imagine like actually trying like the absurdity of acting out these scenes on set just is like crazy to me. It's like what Star Wars, we talked about must have been like with this guy doing, this guy whose real voice is for Chewbacca. Like, what kind of fucking film are we making here?
Boy, where did you dig up that old... That old man's mad. Well, you said it, Chewie.
No, I was thinking about that
Totally.
because we were talking about that earlier, and I think because each of these people, these actors, they were really hungry for this. Like they were like out to do it and do it for real and like work really hard, and like there was no apathy.
Right.
Like Whoopi wanted this part badly. Swayze was like, no, this could be the thing that changes my. Demi was like, I'm gonna. So it was about the work, and they really committed to it.
Right.
And because
they
of
all
that,
really leaned into it.
Yeah, and because of that commitment, I think it works. Yeah.
Whoopi that was part of her shtick at the time too. Like that stand-up routine you were talking about earlier is her doing a bunch of different characters. And stuff.
It works.
Her skill set.
All right,
totally.
Well, we're somehow we're running out of time for the Ghost episode, but again, I've already mentioned it. I just want to touch on it again. The fucking Schiavelli training montage. Crazy, didn't see that one coming. This sort of Jedi,
Yoda,
how to control your Jedi, and he is kind of Star Wars. He's like, let the hate, flow through you.
Take all your emotions, all your anger, all your love, all your hate, and push it way down here into the pit of your stomach.
Right, Marcus?
Which is, I got to say, that LSD fried, Buddhist monk influenced boomer writer. That's what the kind of thing I'm talking about, which does relate to that kind of boomer thing with Lucas being kind of in the zeitgeist. Is what I'm saying, about like sort of like ersatz Buddhism,
right?
It was permeated
Steve
like
Jobs
latter
did that too.
boomer.
Yeah,
They all love that shit.
Exactly.
My dad loves that.
Yeah.
stuff.
And also you were saying like in other hands, what this movie might have been like. That acid writer guy Ruben you were talking about, he also did meet with Milos to talk about the script of this movie.
Milos wanted to direct this,
And he was going to direct it for 5 minutes, and he gave all these cray notes. We might have gotten
Insane notes.
the interracial
Guys.
It's
lesbian.
taking off and Chevelli. And
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
Chevelle's
saying.
in Taking Off.
But that's why I think Chevelli is in this, is because
But
maybe
Milos
Hit the
wanted-
bomb.
So Milos
gotta be
wanted
it, yeah.
Demi Moore to jump off the roof and kill herself at the end. And they were like, no, we cannot do that. And so the studios were like, sorry, we got to move on. We can't, this is not
Get
good.
this crazy Yugoslavian asshole
by
out of
that
this
point,
office.
they'd already cast Chevelli.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like
We can't go back on Chevelli.
In discussing with Foreman, they adopted
Yes,
this
they-
guy, Vincent Scarapelli.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm sticking around, I guess.
That was like
the
the one
legacy
note.
of the Foreman meetings. Yeah,
Exactly.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then gotta love this kind of the obligatory 90s kind of, this is where it gets a little disclosury, a little net vibes.
I love all that stuff.
Where it's him, taking over the computer and taking over the bank accounts. And of course, Carl is getting very nervous and the Sam is appearing on the
Carl's
computer.
good, the actor.
He is
He's-
good.
Yeah.
He's a little
He's got that
weasel.
weird, creepy vibe.
He was just married to the production designer.
I know, I
and
saw
like
that.
read for the role, and they gave
Yeah.
it.
So
No
weird.
way.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't a professional actor?
Well, I think he was, but he wasn't like in anything.
Right.
Yeah.
He's great. And
He's
it
good.
gets
He's
weird. It gets weird. He comes over and he's like, do you have any Pepto-Bismol?
Do you have any, like, some Pepto-Bismol or something?
And he gets all weird.
Right.
And then he's
My
like,
shirt off.
and then he's like,
He spills coffee on himself.
so creepy.
And see, the thing is, it's those high concepts sometimes that I really respond to, where it's like, it's almost like an off-Broadway play or something, where it's like 3 people in a room. And only 2 of them can see each other, and the third guy's just observing, frustrated, but reacting, and he knows better. And then there's this bullshit boomer mysticism of like, I'll work through the cat.
yeah.
There's like cats and certain people of color have like
Yeah,
gifts
right,
of-
exactly.
I know,
That
I
is
know.
so
Scaring
that.
the cat, like
right.
those moments
magical
are
Okay.
cat reality.
Okay, it is totally. All right, so we got, and I also love
I
when he's
love
like,
it.
I also love when he's like, I'm gonna cut her throat, and he gets really freaky.
Yeah, and then you're
All
like,
right.
what the Jesus?
But the rest of the show is devoted to this because this is the headline. This is it. So, okay, we talked about Carl's death looking very Dario Argento-esque, right? And fucking Willie also, Willie Lopez has a crazy death scene where he gets, smashed in between 2 cars. But the Twin Peaks return set piece in this
Mulholland
film
Drive.
that occurs twice is when
got
this,
a light moment.
yeah,
so to speak,
yeah, right.
For those who know.
Is these fucking demon shadows that appear again? It's very Lynch because especially Carl's death, they're coming like around furniture. It seems like, and it's very Lynchian.
Well, they're surfacing from ether and then like
Ether.
manifesting in
Right.
black.
And then the sound design is like really scary. Very.
It's supposedly it's babies crying played backwards.
There you go. Wow,
Dude, which is very David Lynch.
that's
no,
amazing.
it is like Disney meets David Lynch kind of, and that's all a compliment.
That
Like
is.
the gate or something. Like it has this weird, like all of a sudden it's like an
Gate.
80s supernatural. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and then they're
Yeah.
taking him away.
Phantasm.
Yeah.
Right.
Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah, Disney. Yeah, and they're
that
kind of like,
scared the shit out of me that movie.
oh,
Yeah.
totally. It's very like PG rated childhood haunt. Like I bet somebody's childhood haunt
This is
we were
100%
scared of
that.
is that right? That's what it realized to me. So they're dragging him to hell. Very scary, very wild in terms of that. And then you see this wild optical effects, I guess, of Patrick again, because she starts I guess she can hear him briefly and see him briefly, and he kind of has that Jedi sort of glow around him, and then he they have this very hilarious kiss.
And the music comes back.
and the music comes in, and that does Raimi pointed out, feel like a Christian film for that's its Christian film ending.
Totally.
And
It's a film. It's a love story of faith.
yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's its most 80s moment too. It never looks more 80s than in front of
Yeah,
that like
true.
cloud background.
Yeah. And when he's kissing her and his face is like glowing and it's like the glowing profile.
Yeah.
Kind of The Visitor too.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like blue screen, like Overload, and it's
The Visitor's more budget version, but yeah.
yes. It's definitely blue screen soundstage time for that.
Evan, when you saw the Willie Lopez death, that was another moment where you like flipped out.
I couldn't believe it.
You were like, wait, this is happening?
Oh,
Like,
you know what's also scary about all those death scenes too? I think Willie's is a little bit more terrifying. Is the idea of, and of course it happens to Patrick Swayze as well too. When you die, okay, you're alive, and you're like, okay, whoa, what happened? And then you look
Right.
down and you see your own dead body
Right.
that's like
Right.
covered in blood. And
You see that 3 times in the film.
yeah, and that's pretty scary.
and
That's
it
a
is
scary
kind of about
concept.
like bad guys and good guys too, which is very kind of that like
Yeah.
Christian
The
thing.
moralist-
Like it's like,
the moralist.
yeah.
Sure.
Like they were the criminals and they get
Right.
dragged to hell. And, yeah.
Right.
That's true. The morality of it all.
Yeah.
The morality.
The thing that was bugging me the whole time was like, what? No ghost ever thought of this before? Like, no ghost ever tried to
Yeah.
do any of this stuff. He's the first ghost to try any of this stuff. Like everybody should know. The whole world should know
Game
about
the system?
ghosts. If ghosts can like move things and communicate with people,
Right.
and
Right.
it
We'd
shouldn't
be
be like
more
a
aware
legend.
of
Everyone
ghosts.
should know
We'd be- yeah.
ghosts. If it's
Well, Scaravelli. Well, he happened to meet up with
Scaravelli,
Scaravelli.
he
who,
knows.
Yeah, trained
But
him
there's
in the ways.
also,
like
but hang on. There is also some weird purgatory aspect, I think, in this film because
yeah.
because there is something
right.
unresolved, and so he's stuck there because he's presumably going to heaven.
Of course.
100%.
Or
That's
hell.
why there's Catholic nuns and stuff.
He has to
help
finish the
underscore that.
business.
He's got to
Exactly.
finish the
He has to
business.
solve his murder,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also tell her he loves her.
Yeah.
And so it's like he had
he
these
has to
commitment
say
problems.
I love you, and
There
she
you
say
go.
ditto.
Yeah.
And then he's at peace, and he can go into the
Yeah.
the all pure white light.
Yeah, right. The end of the beyond. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, does this see? Even us describing that, I just never would have thought this would be the fucking movie.
I got you.
I want
Okay.
people
What kind
to
of
watch
film-
this for the first
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just watch it with an open mind.
I wish I could watch it the way you're watching it.
Me too.
Yeah,
But I think, this is a
I've
good
never thought
recommendation.
about it since
Yes.
1990.
that's the thing.
Right,
That's what Ghost is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just you accept it. It's just a part of life.
All right.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Evan's
god.
got like 3 pages of notes on the table.
I
that he
do.
didn't get through.
I'm looking at.
Oh,
no, I don't. I don't. It's just. It was.
We did it all.
We did it all. I mean, that's about it. But 1 fucking hour on Ghost. Not something I would have thought when we started this wild, weird adventure.
Well, let's reiterate this though. This is dropping Valentine's weekend.
Yes.
Number 1.
I said that.
So this is a special occasion
Yep.
episode. We
Yep.
do that once in a while.
Yeah.
And shout out to Demi, who's going to be who's nominated
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
for the Oscars. We'll see how that goes. You know.
Pulling for you.
Yeah.
Pulling for you. Definitely.
are. We
I'm
are.
rooting for Demi.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Because.
I'm voting for the Emile Perez. That's after her tweets. I was like,
I'm so happy you said
that's
that.
my gal.
I'm so happy you said that. No, it's hilarious. The whole thing's hilarious. as
Oh
usual.
my
It is
god.
funny.
That's
But there was sort of justification for
maybe that'll be my
Ghost.
birthday
Yeah, it
pick.
felt like a good little moment.
This is kind of up there with Mask for me, like
Yeah.
camp 80s.
Yeah.
I'm very forgiving for camp 80s.
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
and it's so comforting. Like
It
it
is.
really is
Exactly.
purely comforting.
Yeah.
Great also hotel movie. Because Tom, you were saying you watched it in a hotel.
Watched it in New York.
Yeah.
That is like a perfect
And I was
hotel
I was
movie.
flipping channels and I went, I know what I'm
Done.
watching. All set.
all set for the next
Yeah, right on, right on.
Totally.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody, that was 1 fucking hour on Ghost, and very fun for Valentine's Day. Thank you all for joining us on that.
Ditto.
Ditto. Yeah, exactly. But we're gonna get into what we're gonna cover next week. This is
Worm
sort of,
Eaters 2.
Oh,
You were gonna give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
sorry, I had to hit that one more time.
I love that.
I know. That was a great drop. Shout out to the people who know what's up with that. All right. So we promised this just a few weeks ago. I figure why delay it? Let's just get to it.
Yeah.
We talked about doing it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. I think we're all kind of in the mood to do this.
Yeah. I mean, the way I'm thinking of it now is David Lynch is still dead.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't do social media too much, but if I do, it's like every third thing in my feed is
It's
still
true.
David Lynch.
It's
and my
true.
YouTube is half like David Lynch stuff.
true.
You know? So and I've been rewatching a lot of his stuff. So
Yeah.
we thought, why not after our special episode on Mr. Lynch?
Yep. Let's do it. So what we're gonna do is, as promised, we're gonna dig into this for next week. We're gonna do one fucking hour on Inland Empire, everybody. So
Sweet mama, baby.
You were gonna give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
That's the best.
it is pretty
But
good.
yeah, Inland Empire.
Start watching now.
Yeah,
'Cause it is
right.
3
All right, it's only 3
hours. Right?
But by the way, I've been learning, and I got to look at this actually. Shit, here's some homework. There's Inland Empire, but on the Blu-ray and the DVD, there's this thing called like it's like an hour long unedited thing. It's called like Other Stuff That Happened.
Yeah.
I think that's a direct quote, and it's just another hour of Inland Empire.
Love it.
essentially.
Great.
Love it.
I still
there's
don't
that.
understand that phenomenon of how you can binge watch a whole season of some dumb show in like one night.
I know.
A 3-hour movie still sounds
You
like
can't
it's too
sit
long.
for a 3 hour.
I know,
so
it's
true.
crazy.
I know.
Weird.
But we're gonna get into it. It's a very special film,
Go
and
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do think in just watching people's eulogies for David Lynch, talking about his passing, not a lot of people have been like really bigging up Inland Empire, and I think it is kind of one that we just had on in the background, and I
Yeah.
caught a few scenes again. And I was like, oh yeah,
So
this
cool.
fucking movie is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and I just rewatched it, and I'd only seen it when it came out.
Same,
in the theater.
yeah.
But I was really blown away. And just to tease this a little bit, I have a premise for this episode.
Okay.
It's the film Inland Empire, but it's generally I want to talk about like what David was doing in the 2000s with the website davidlynch.com and Rabbits being the biggest result of that period. And then, of course, this film. In the 2000s, he, of course, embraced DV cameras, digital film. And not even fancy stuff. He was using used a prosumer camera.
That's right. That's right.
And but what I wanted to get into was, on the other hand, it's like I feel like he really intuitively got the inherent creepiness of like what people are. The nickname is like lost media now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I've been really binging on that coincidentally.
Yes.
So I feel like this film is the godhead of like the creepy lost media feel of like they found this tape, and it doesn't have the corny aspects of
found footage. Yeah.
The contrived
Witch.
thing about like Blair Witch. Yeah, exactly. Like it's more abstract than that. It's like, hey man, I don't know, this is videotape, and it just says it's this guy's dreams, and like somebody recorded somebody's dreams on a
Yeah.
video cassette. And, like,
Right,
that
right,
kind of
right.
thing. It's,
Yeah.
Of course, it's Inland Empire. It's David
Yeah.
Lynch, but it's very rich, and I would like to big up kind of that decade of his career.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You know?
It is. It's
Definitely worth looking into.
very interesting stuff. Very much into it. Also, if you can scare up, I don't know, like a DVD version of the movie or download an original file.
what
Apparently,
you're saying.
there's some controversy around the Criterion's upres of the film, which
The
they
4K
kind of
is weird. I have
botched.
seen people break it down on YouTube.
Yeah.
With screen comparisons, and they really didn't do it right. He was involved though in the 4K,
Really?
but something went wrong, and Marcus might even be able to help
in the
us, but
AI.
it's like-
They used AI for it.
yeah, they used AI, but I think they just did a thing. They just pressed one button for the 3
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah,
and
right.
said AI go nuts for these 3. Like they didn't
Yeah.
finesse any of the
Yeah.
shots. Yeah, you know what I mean. They didn't go shot by shot.
So.
And there's some weird detail that wasn't in the original. So he's right. Like
A lot of
if you can,
smoothing when that upscale stuff.
yeah,
happens.
if you can find the original home media releases of Inland Empire, we recommend it. That's all
Yeah.
we're saying. you know.
Yeah. That's what we'll
It's
use.
also streaming on Prime. you
Yeah,
know.
right. So check it out. Inland Empire is what we're going to do next week. And then depending on when that episode drops, if we have one more to do, or we're going to get right into our March series. We're going to tell you guys what we're going to do for March, presumably on the next episode or the episode after. Very exciting, high concept for March. So long overdue.
March
also.
of the Penguins.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. That'd be amazing. So no. But I guess before we get out, I just want to give one last shout out to the One Fucking Hour Patreon. Patreon.com/1fucking-hour is where you can sign up for all the bonus content. And we are going to get to recording that next bonus episode very soon, of course, which I mentioned earlier is going to be just sort of a primer to our favorite made for TV movie films.
A lot of fun. Basically, like you're saying, it's an introduction to a new subgenre that we've all loved here individually and collectively, and that we're going to be premiering this. We're going to be folding this new layer into the
into the mix.
Arcana of One Fucking Hour.
Yeah, we love
the TV movie.
We love the TV movies. There's a lot of very interesting ones, a lot of notorious ones, horror movie ones, and there's obviously the based on a true story ones.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to get into a lot.
Oh, I know one already.
Oh,
Me
yes.
too. Me too. Okay, so we're gonna get into that, which we kind of semi-watched like recently. We should talk about that because it's pretty cray.
We gotta talk.
We'll definitely gonna talk about that. All right, and so definitely the only way to watch that is up on the Patreon, patreon.com/one fucking hour.
Sweet mama.
You were gonna give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
All right, sorry. Or
He might have been in Ghost.
Yeah, I know.
Might have been Sweet Mama cherry pieing all through Ghost.
Or you can become a moment of the YouTube channel by going to our channel homepage, finding the join button, clicking that. Same price, $5 a month, same perks, and you can get our bonus episodes that way. Thank you everybody who signed up so far, and we appreciate you. And and thanks to everyone who endured last week and survived and is still here, still listening. Is anybody listening to the show? But I think they are. They're all right. All right, and I guess
We'll get through this.
we will. And
Ghost makes up.
yeah, it will. We're gonna get all those. Yeah, I'm sure the guy who was like,
Double
"Don't."
feature.
Yeah, right.
Ghost Worm Eaters double feature.
Same.
Yeah, there was
That's
some.
what we recommend.
There was some
Date
guy
night.
who was like, "Don't ever do a movie like this again." It's like, okay, well, we're gonna give you Ghost. Okay?
I didn't know.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, here we go.
We won't
the
ever
pe-
do another Worm Eaters.
Yeah. Well.
pendulum
Never do Worm
is-
Eaters.
Because, and you know why? Because there's only one Worm Eater.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And that's part of what's so special.
Watch it, and did they get really upset that you guys made them watch it? Or
I think partially
I
that,
didn't hear that.
and no, I think
I
it's
think
just
it's mere existence.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. But we
Okay.
can't. Let's get to the end here. But we can't leave you, of course, without your Rame. Your what?
moment of zen?
Moment.
Moment of zen.
It's not moment.
Got a
What
team.
is-
The
what's
moment.
What's that word? Moment.
I
What's a
messed that
moment?
up.
All right, take two.
You put me on the spot. That was really scary.
Your what?
Moment.
Moment.
Okay.
What a world. Okay.
All right, everybody, have a good rest of your week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you for Inland Empire. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
later.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.